Hey team, today's topic is how do you run a sub 320 marathon? And I was recently asked by one of my subscribers if I would make a video on the sub 320 marathon barrier and what to do. Some of the strategies that I would definitely focus on without a doubt is getting that tempo run, work your tempo run and the duration of that tempo run out to around 10 to 12 miles in length. And again, this is going to take some time, but the faster you're trying to run the marathon, the more technical, the more strategic you're going to have to be. And to break a 320 marathon, you really have to be in superior shape both mentally as well as physically. And this comes out to 7:38 per mile for 26.2 miles or 4:44 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. So you definitely have to make sure that you're spending more of your time in terms of your doing those tempo runs and getting your anaerobic threshold and running at your anaerobic threshold for a longer period of time. Now, granted, at the very beginning of your buildup for this sub 320 marathon buildup, focus first on adapting to a 3 to 4 mile tempo run first. Okay, and it is going to take about 3 to 4 weeks for your body to fully adapt to that particular intensity. Okay, so that might mean, it's going to be hard to hold 7:38 mile pace or 4:44 kilometer pace for a 3 to 4 mile effort at the very beginning. Be patient with yourself. The body always adapts. So that is definitely one of the key strategies I would focus on is gradually working yourself from a 3 mile tempo all the way up to around 10 to 12 miles in length. So around 16 to 19, 20 kilometers in length in terms of doing those tempo runs, making sure that you're doing every other weekend, you're doing a long run each weekend, but also not just running easy and slow each weekend. Make sure that you're doing a mixture of different paces during your long runs. Okay, that might mean one weekend it might just mean doing maybe a 2 mile warm up, 2 mile cool down, and maybe 10 to 12 miles at just a steady effort, running around 10 to 15 seconds slower than your goal marathon pace, in this case 7:38 mile pace or 4:44 kilometer pace. And then as you get fitter, start spending a few of those miles or a few of those kilometers running 10 to 15 seconds faster than your goal race pace. Okay. And also it might mean running, and again, changing up the strategy of these long runs. It may not just be a steady state long run you're doing one weekend. Okay. Always alternate. Always run the next weekend easy and then run the following weekend harder. Then the next weekend easy and keep repeating that. Okay, that's going to make sure that your body is adapting to the hard training you're doing. Okay, now in terms of these long runs, also make sure that you really challenge yourself in some of these long runs. Without a doubt, over the years, that one of the tactics that helped me go from a 2:43 marathon to a PR of 2:19 was running very, very hard efforts during those long runs. Okay, one of my favorite workouts I would do is I would run, especially when I had a very strong aerobic base, so make sure you have this before you start working in these faster long runs. I would do every fourth mile of my 20 to 24 mile long runs under 5 minutes. I would run like a 4:54, 4:56, right around that range, and do that every fourth mile of my long run, and then settle back into maybe like 6:30 mile pace, and then maybe drop in a few 5:20s, 5:30s, and then again drop in a 4:55 right in the middle of those long runs. Okay, and then the next weekend I would always run maybe like 8-minute mile pace on my easy long runs. So the key thing when you're trying to go under 320 for the marathon, trying to run 3:19:59, is you definitely have to continue to make sure you're paying attention to your adaptation, making sure you're running slow and easy on those easy recovery runs. They're meant to be easy for a reason. Okay, you can't just keep doing these track sessions and tempo runs and harder long runs, especially those long runs. They will take everything out of you, both mentally and physically. Okay, and it's going to take some time for your body to adapt to these types of workouts. So if you're not slowing down and taking it easy during those recovery runs, you're not going to be able to continue to push the body hard every single week. So make sure that you're paying attention to hydration, making sure you're practicing drinking better during your long runs and practicing drinking rather than just sipping. Okay, a common mistake far too many marathoners are making is they are not taking in enough calories or enough fluids during those races. Okay, you cannot run 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers effectively if you're not paying attention to nutrition and hydration during the race. Okay, definitely continue to work on your speed. Okay, if I was somebody, if I was trying to break the 320 marathon barrier, I would want to get to a point where I could do 800s on the track at around 305 to 310 per rep, with around 60 seconds rest in between each one. I also love doing like 300, really working on your speed, working on training at your VO2 max, which is about 95 to 100% of your maximum heart rate. So I would be working, getting those 300-meter repetitions around 103 to 108 per rep, with around 45 seconds rest in between each one. Now, granted, at the very beginning of your buildup, you're not going to be running reps that fast. So start off maybe running 114 to 115 for your 300s, okay? And then doing less reps, but as you get fitter, do more reps, and then the paces, drop that pace down to around, like I said, around 103 to 108 when you're really, really fit. Okay, so the key tactic in trying to break, in terms of how do you run a sub 320 marathon, is making sure you're building a strong aerobic base first. Optimal time frame for a half marathon is 16 to 24 weeks. Okay, the longer your build up, the better fit and the more prepared you're going to be for your race. Doing a 10-day taper leading into your main half marathon, okay, definitely sprinkle in throughout your build up. And this is definitely what I would do, is I would sprinkle in some 5K and 10K either races or time trials in the middle of your build up. Okay, I do have training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com for athletes that are trying to break the 320 marathon barrier. Also, I've created a course for athletes trying to break the 3-hour marathon barrier, as well as the 3:30 marathon barrier. So if that's something that's in your, a goal of yours, then definitely check out RunDreamAchieve.com or check below these videos. The links are there for you as well, to the training plans, as well as the running courses that I've created. Also, I work with athletes one-on-one. If that's something you want to work with me and get a customized training plan, as well as work with me each month to get to your particular goal, definitely reach out to me or go to RunDreamAchieve.com. You can click on either consulting, the consulting tab, or the coaching tab on the website. Definitely continuing to visualize yourself breaking and running 3:19:59, getting across that finish line with that time on the clock. You have to train your mind like you're training your body, okay? We spend so much of our time and effort training physically, but how much time are you really emphasizing mental rehearsal, mental preparing, okay? Really mentally seeing yourself achieve this time that you're going for. This is not a slow time by any means. 3:19:59, that you have to be in superior shape, both physically and mentally, to run a 3:19:59. So these are some of the tactics I really, in terms of answering the question of how do you run a sub 320 marathon. You don't try to win the marathon in the first half marathon. Do not go out the first half at 30 seconds faster than goal race pace, okay? Be a little bit more conservative in the first half, run a negative split, and then run your second half 20 to 30 seconds faster than your goal race pace in that second half, okay? Save that glycogen, okay? Don't go too anaerobic and pay for it and have to slow down in the second half of the race, okay? Run your race. Don't try to run someone else's race and get too hyped up in the race and go out too fast. I hope this makes sense. There's so much more that goes into this, but I love making these videos, short clips, just trying to answer some of y'all's questions. Hope this is helpful in answering your question of how do you run a sub 320 marathon. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have any other questions or comments or any other topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. I'll definitely reach back out and respond to your message that you leave. So I wish you guys and gals all the very best in breaking this barrier. I know you can do it, and I will talk to you all in the next video.